Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So I have a special guest, my brother, brother minister speaks. We're going to be talking about a wide range of subjects. We're going to first talk about Star Wars. The fact that one of the main actresses from Star Wars has been subjected to racist attacks online. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're also going to talk about the recent statement that Jada Pinkett Smith made about the Oscars, following the Oscars and about that whole incident involving her husband slapping Chris Rock on stage. So there's a lot to talk about. And what we may do is go over to TikTok and continue our conversation tonight as well and talk about Kevin Samuels and his legacy and what we think about him and his philosophy. So there's a lot for us to talk about tonight. And before I even get into it, I want to encourage everyone to subscribe to this channel if you are not subscribed. Like this video and share this video. Also, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my brother's channel, Brother Minister Speaks. I encourage you all to subscribe to his channel. This brother, my brother, Brother Minister Speaks, has great content. He's also a Christian minister, who preaches from like a liberation theology type of perspective. So yeah, he can tell you more about his channel. And before we get into it, I just want him to, just tell people a little bit about his channel and his philosophy on things, just to give you all some background. So yeah, man, go ahead and tell them what's up with your channel and about your ministry real briefly, and then we can get into the discussion.
Okay, man. Well, first and foremost, big bro, it's always an honor and a privilege to break bread with you, man. You know what I'm saying? Because in many regards, man, you've been my teacher since I was like 13, man. When you came back from college, you know what I'm saying, dropping jewels and dropping science back in the day. You know what I'm saying? So it's always I feel like I'm with the big fellas, man. We all know back in the day, you used to meet me about a block away from where you was hanging at. Like, what you need, man? Hey, go home, man. Go home. Don't tell them. You know what I'm saying? So it's always good to be able to kick it with Big Bro, man. But anyhow, man, as far as it relates to my ministry and everything, see, I make no qualms about it, no apologies about it. Previously a registered member of the Nation of Islam. Long story short, you can catch that story on my TikTok. I'm still completing it. But I'm now a Baptist preacher, and but I'm still a FOI. I just serve a different post. That's a story in and of itself, but I'm a liberation preacher. Whilst I don't knock what anybody does, I'm not the preacher that's about to start sweating and start singing and all of that stuff. I'm trying to get you liberated right now while you on the ground and still around, and not just wait for that pie in the sky when you say bye-bye. It's all about now. So I teach from that perspective. Anyhow, I make waves with some of my political opinions because definitely not the ignorant Negro preacher that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about. So my channel is Brother Minister Speaks. I'm going to try to grow that into a podcast. Me and some friends are talking about that. But for now, it has a lot of my sermons and daily bread. On TikTok, I'm also Brother Minister Speaks. That's where you'll see a meat of a lot of my opinions and things of that sort. So, check me out, man. I'm open for dialogue, man. You know what I'm saying? We all about liberation and building on this way. So,
Yeah, man, that's what's up. Yeah, so again, I want to encourage y'all to subscribe to my brother's channel, Brother Minister Speaks. So we're gonna get right into it. Uh, so here's the situation. You have, one of the main actors from this new series on Disney Plus, and it's a Star Wars series. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's a great series, and I encourage you all to check it out. Like, it's one of the best things on TV right now. So it features a Black woman, and she plays the role of one of the Inquisitors And the Inquisitors are a group of people whose job is to hunt down Jedi. And, I could go on and on about the backstory of Star Wars, but I won't get into it. Hopefully, a lot of you know some basic information about Star Wars. So she plays one of these Inquisitors, and the Inquisitors are ruthless. They hunt Jedi. And this character in particular, and just to let you all know, there will be spoilers if you haven't seen, this series. So if you haven't seen it, I encourage you to come back and visit this later. But there will be spoilers. So this particular character that this black woman is playing kills a Jedi, a white male Jedi. She actually kills the Grand Inquisitor, who is like the head of these Inquisitors. She kills that character. And even though that character is an alien, that character in many respects kind of like represents like white authority because, first of all, he speaks to her in a very degrading way. He talks about how she comes from the gutter, basically. And despite her skills and her abilities, she still is nothing but trash and all that kind of stuff. So you get this sense that even though this is an alien character, he in many ways represents white authority. So because this character is like so ruthless, a lot of people don't like the character, and she's doing a great job of being a villain. But that has not only like translated into just a general dislike for the character, but it's translated into an actual dislike for her as a black woman. So she has been bombarded online with all these direct messages that are racist, where these people are attacking her and, like disparaging her. So in response, she did a live stream. I think it was on Instagram where she talked about this whole situation. And she talked about how she felt at first that maybe she shouldn't rock the boat, basically, and maybe she should just not speak out about this and not address it. But she decided to overcome that initial feeling and just come out publicly and explain exactly what she was going through. And because of that, Star Wars decided to rally behind her and support her and speak out against racism. Also, one of the main actors on the television show, the man who plays the role of Obi-Wan Kenobi, decided to speak on her behalf and speak in her support and speak out against these races. So this is what has happened. And, I just want to open it up for a dialogue, both from the people that are watching and, my brother to get his feedback. And just to give you all some background, me and my brother are big Star Wars fans. Like we follow the whole Star Wars trilogy, the movies and the TV shows and all that kind of stuff. So we're big fans. And as a fan, this is very disappointing to see this kind of racism coming from, these Star Wars fans. And unfortunately, this is not the first time that there has been a racist reaction to Star Wars. Like we know that when they first started coming out with the new installments of the Star Wars trilogy, like I think the first one is The Force Awakens, and that featured a black man as a stormtrooper. And so there was a lot of backlash about that, and people were complaining about a black man being a stormtrooper. So again, this is not the first time that this has happened. And I have a couple of thoughts about what I think is behind this, but I want to open it up to you, Esther. Like, what do you think about the whole situation? Like, why do you think that we had this kind of reaction and stuff? Um, Especially given the fact that in these types of films, let's see, are you? Oh, oh yeah, and especially given the fact that in these types of films, it's supposed to be the future, and in the future, usually people are beyond race. Like in Star Wars, like in Star Trek, for instance, race is no longer like a factor in society, and even in Star Wars, race is really not an issue. Like you have like all these different aliens, like all these different Jedis of different, species and all that stuff. but they still work together and all that kind of stuff. So tell me your thoughts about this whole thing.
Well, the first thing is that you have to understand that Star Wars has always been an analogy about things that are actually happening right now in real time. And George Lucas sets it, it starts off every film or whatever a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, right? But he uses this imaginary universe to talk about things that are real here. And well, my first thing that I'll say, just as a black person, is why the hell are we shocked? There's You absolutely right. The Empire and the Inquisitors do represent the Nazis, definitely, and fascism, and they also represent dictatorships and authoritarian government and things of that sort. But anyhow, is these these people, our oppressors, have had a culture that has evolved since Columbus sailed the ocean blue, where we are seen in a certain light. And anytime any of us do anything that is at odds with that archetype that's in the mind of the oppressor, he's going to buck back up. We had a real life black president, and he was called everything from a monkey to a village idiot to the antichrist. His wife is even now accused of being a transgender. There's nothing these people can say that can shock me. Then the other thing that I'll say is that who are the main Star Wars fans? Even, I know we got swag and everything, big bro, but the Star Wars fans that don't look like us are not, the most socially engaged aspect of that community. You know what I'm saying? These are the nerds, man. Comic book guys and stuff. Even though you and I both like comic books and all of this stuff, but that's not the archetype of the regular white guy, right? So it's like, man, I wouldn't be surprised, man, if these guys, these passive aggressive guys, you see them at the gym, looking at you all funny and everything. I'm not surprised if it's not those guys, man. But yeah, her character, the assertive nature of the character, the lack of submitting and the lack of fear in this character is exactly at odds with how they think that a black woman should be. So they have problems with her. She doesn't have permed hair, for instance. She has braids. She doesn't just acquiesce to somebody who's trying to be stronger than her. She's the one that knows the true path while everybody else is chasing shadows and smoke and mirrors. She represents the opposite of this foolishness you saw on TikTok and these videos and stuff, and what they commonly think of a black woman. And I think that that's the problem that people have with the character.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Like, I mean, one of the things is like, I think that, as I was saying on TikTok, I think one of the things is that, they don't like to see a strong black character, period. They don't like to see, a black character actually killing white male characters. So that's one thing that I think that has made people upset, and makes them hostile towards this black woman because she represents strength. Regardless of the fact that she's a villain, and she represents defiance of white male authority. And I think that a lot of people are intimidated by that, and that helps gin up like some of this animosity that they have towards her because she kills, like, again, the Grand Inquisitor. She kills a Jedi, and that Grand Inquisitor like represents white male authority in a lot of ways. A Jedi, is a powerful figure and a beloved figure in the Star Wars series. And then she is hunting down like one of the most loved figures in Star Wars, who is also a white man. So I think that that's part of the reason why they have this animosity towards her. And I just think that the whole situation, like seeing this racist reaction, also makes me think about another thing, and that's how we need to support our own. Like, we need to rally behind the sister and support her, but we also need to develop our own sci-fi space. And you have a lot of writers, for instance, like Octavia Butler, who has done works about science fiction and stuff like that. And we need to prop up and build our own, zone where we have our own science fiction and our own space where we're able to use our imagination and create our own characters without having to deal with this kind of backlash and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, there should be a space for Black people in these major blockbuster films, like Star Wars and stuff like that. But unfortunately, again, this is not the first time that you see this reaction. So yeah, man, I agree with you, in a large degree. And the other thing that I'll say is this, like, I commend that sister for speaking up, because she could have just fell back and, just have been quiet or whatever and just suffered through receiving these harassing direct messages and just pretended like it didn't exist. And that's what you have a lot of times in corporate America, where you have people that have basically been punkified and, neutered for the most part. And they basically kowtow and submit to circumstances in order to get along and move up the corporate ladder. But I'm glad that this sister had the courage to express how she felt. Another thing about this is that, this is an example of why, like, alliances are important. Like, the fact that Star Wars rallied behind her, that's a great development. And then the fact that one of her co-stars stood with her as well and made a statement in her support as well. So those are some of my thoughts about this. Like, do you have anything to add on to that?
I just think like this, man, is that a lot of another thing that goes along with it is the fact that I think a lot of sexism has a lot to do with it as well. Because I think that for the longest, Star Wars has been, the He-Man woman haters club. And, with the prequels and the original movies back in the day, I mean, there were like female protagonists in some of the novels, but it wasn't really pushed to the forefront. And I think that even though I'm not a fan of the sequel trilogy, I think that a lot of the pushback that they had with that trilogy was because the protagonist was a woman. And it's like, okay, the fact of the matter is that I think that this sister is facing not only that, but also the fact that she's Black. And I think that it's ironic that we didn't hear any of this pushback back in, 1979, when Empire Strikes Back came out and Lando Calrissian. See, it was okay because he was a scoundrel. And it further illustrates what I was saying about the fact that if you fit the archetype that they think of a Black person, then they're not going to say nothing about it. Didn't have a problem with Mace Windu either. But again, Anakin killed Mace Windu, right?
Yeah, that's a good point, man.
So it fits fine into their way of processing us. It's just like in the office. If you are anything that's not like what they think a Black guy should be, hey, there's something wrong with him. I think he has an attitude, or is he angry? And it's like, hey, man, I'm just sitting over here chilling, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I mean, it's just messed up. But I'm glad of it for one reason and one reason only. It actually, it's good to see this sister take the high road and not get caught in the muck and the mire. And the reason I'm saying that is because what did we just have related to Black people in entertainment? Will Smith and Chris Rock. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah, we're gonna get into that, man. I can't wait to talk about that.
Yeah, so I'm all right. That's my only thing I got to say about that. But hey, y'all better watch Kenobi. That's some. All right, don't make me pull out my lightsaber up here.
Yeah, man. I was just watching the latest episode.
Oh, buddy, what'd you think, man?
Man, I thought it was incredible, man. And it's just like, I mean, there's gonna be some spoilers. We can't talk about
it. Didn't I tell you that I told you my man was playing for keeps, man. I'm telling you,
Darth
man.
Vader ain't no joke in this, man. Like,
Hey, man.
and
Hey,
then like Obi-Wan Kenobi, since he's been in hiding so long and he hasn't had time to like tune up his skills and stuff over time. Like it was an uneven matchup for real. Like he was lucky in that whole situation, man.
he
But we
was.
could
Did
go
you
on
notice
and
how
on about
dark
that.
the whole theme of like how dark it, man? Dude, man, it's like, man, the thing about Star Wars that a lot of people forget is that George Lucas was big on visual storytelling. So when you look at it, you got to look at everything that's going on around it, and you'll really get what he's trying to convey, man. Wonderful series, man. But anyhow, I digress, man. What's the next thing, big bro?
Yeah, we're gonna get into it, but I gotta go back to this episode, man. Like, I mean, first of all, like Darth Vader has just gotten like stronger and stronger over time, whereas Obi-Wan, since he's been in hiding and they can't reveal that they have, that they're Jedi, they can't use their powers because that'll draw, these inquisitors and the Sith to destroy them and stuff. So he's been like not tuning up his skills. So it's like he was really no match for Darth Vader. Darth Vader could have took him out like in this last episode. But we could go on and on about that, man. We're gonna have to chop it up after this about that, man.
But dig. Here's the crazy part: the Grand Inquisitor is not dead at all.
He's not.
Dead because he's in Star Wars Rebels, which takes place 5 years after Kenobi.
So I wonder. I'm really interested in that. That's really something else.
Yeah. So I'll break it down to you, man. But it's too nerdy for the Black Revolution.
Oh yeah, and I see the Death Rocker. Shout out to Death Rocker. Shout out to everybody tuning in. But Death Rocker talked about how Darth Sidious killed Mace Windu with lightning and stuff like that. And Revenge of the Sith. But it wouldn't have been possible because I think Luke Skywalker did something. I mean, not Luke Skywalker, Anakin. I'm trying to remember.
All right, what happens is that Palpatine throws the fight with Mace Windu, right? Loses his lightsaber and all of this stuff, and portrays as if he's weakened because Mace was pushing the lightning back on Sidious, right? So it was all just a ruse, though, to get Anakin to do what a Jedi does and defend the weak, right? But all along, he's going along with the schemes of the Sith.
Yeah, because didn't
he cut off his hand?
Anakin cut off his hand, so he was vulnerable. And then
so it was without Anakin killed. But see, that goes back to the archetype thing. Mace Windu was the main person saying no to Anakin, right? He was the main person like giving objections to Anakin the whole prequel trilogy. He was the one that at the end of the day was like, I don't trust him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, he's just at odds. He's the voice of unreadiness or whatever. So again, I think that speaks to the common perception of us as a people, as black men.
I wanted to talk to you more about that. So you were talking about it as, from the black woman's perspective. Can you elaborate on that? Because you were saying like, you were talking about how women are portrayed on TikTok and comparing it to how this character is portrayed in this film. So can you like explain that a little bit more?
Right.
Like break it
down? All right,
I
got a question for you. Have you or anybody in the audience ever watched any of these reality shows? Love and Hip Hop, Real Housewives of Atlanta, so on and so forth. Have you ever watched that, big bro?
Yeah, I have. Like,
unwillingly. Like, okay, so that's one of the archetypes. That's one of the archetypes. The other one is the one you see all on TikTok, the Sapphire, the sex vixen. This is what was girly name with the banana dress? Josephine Baker, the vixen,
right?
Sex, Then there's the other archetype, which is the over with respect to anybody's physical or whatever, but it's the obese mother of the community giving out wisdom and raising kids that aren't hers and all of this, the Madeira stuff, right? Then there's the victim,
like the mammy stereotype, the big mammy stereotype.
Exactly. Then you have the single mother, victim with the bad man, right? Then you have the asserted career woman who can't get a man. You know what I'm saying? And then this character is an assertive, powerful black woman that goes her own way and follows her instinct and is empowered in whatever she does, she succeeds. The other ones are stupid, she's smart. She's looking at the long game, they looking at the short game. They're falling for tricks and foolishness, but she's seeing through that. She's capable. That is nothing like what society says black women are. Look on TikTok. Look at the trends that the sisters have. Remember the trend? He ain't got no money. He ain't. Well, get your own money.
That's right.
Yeah. What do you bring to the table? Only somebody that brings nothing to the table will have a problem with being asked about what you bring to the table. But my problem lies in what we think the right answer is. Mm-hmm. We marrying for all this external stuff when what we need to be talking about is the internal qualities. But anyhow, I could go on a tangent about that, and if we get to talk about Kevin Samuels, that's what we'll that you know get. That's a spoiler. But anyhow, is this character Reva is the exact opposite. Notice something else about her. She's that little girl at the beginning of the first episode of part 1 that escaped the slaughter. This is the one.
I gotta watch that again. So that was part 1 because I was wondering about her backstory. I want to know her backstory, like more about
her. She's that little black girl at the beginning when the stormtroopers are destroying the Jedi temple. She survives.
Oh, I gotta check that out.
You a Star Wars nerd like that, you know that Sindralic didn't survive. None of the other Jedi that we've ever seen on Clone Wars or any of the prequel movies, none of them survived, but that little girl did. That puts her on par with Baby Yoda, with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and with Yoda. The Jedis we know that survived. So she's a hell of a person. And that's an analogy for growing up in this damn ghetto. Mm. So it's like, look, this woman is capable. She didn't come up out the pits of hell and succeeded and excelled. Mm. And she ain't the one to play games with. I commend the character and the writers of the show. So, you know, that is antithetical to how they feel the archetype of a black person coming from that kind of stuff should be. Mace Windu didn't survive, but this little black girl did. Come on, man.
Mm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that first episode again, man. But yeah, man, I think you're right. Like in terms of those stereotypes, and the sad thing is, like with respect to like TikTok and venues like that, nobody's forcing those women to present those types of images of themselves. They are volunteering to present themselves to the world in that kind of way. Nobody is forcing them to do what they do. But I think what has happened is they are being encouraged by the algorithms of these different social media platforms. But at some point, we got to take responsibility for the images that we put out here of ourselves, man. And that's unfortunately, the reality is a lot of times black women in particular, in this particular situation, are presenting these images of themselves on their own. Like they are literally making themselves sexual objects and reducing themselves to that level. And then you have like, you know, a lot of garbage on there, like the materialism, you know, the shallow nature of both men and women on TikTok. Yeah, we could go on and on about the negative images of black people on TikTok, that black people are the ones actually promoting on their own. Nobody's twisting their arms and forcing them to do what they do. I mean,
listen, yeah, but that's a whole listen. I gotta go with one of Daddy's famous statements again. And hey y'all, I'm really talking about our father. Agents of non-thought of the received idea. And we just on autopilot. Not too long ago, you made a video on TikTok and you were talking about I think it was like rap music, and you were like, you know, like these gangbangers and all of this stuff, and the dude called you a sellout and so forth. right? So the male equivalent of that foolishness is the nonsense you see in this rap music. Hey, listen, man, I was when I left the gym earlier, I stopped in one of these gas stations, and these young brothers out here, man. Hey, man, we as OGs, old guys, the old schools, we failed these boys out here. We failed them because we passed them down a legacy of absurdity and thugging just on another level, man. And the little sisters, man. Hey, man, they out here, man. And you know what I'm saying? Is we
Yeah,
as men, we got to change our appetite, and they'll change what they feed us.
yeah, man, that's a good point. Like about the, I mean, like I was saying in that particular video that I did, I was just pointing out how, like, unfortunately, it's not. I mean, the KKK and the white supremacists, yeah, they do commit acts of terrorism, and I regularly speak out against that stuff. As people know, they know my track record, they know my history. But the fact of the matter is, they are not doing the majority of the killing that we see in our communities, man. Like these gangs and these drug cartels or organizations, whatever you want to call them, they are responsible for most of the violence that plagues our communities. And the sad thing is, we glorify that stuff. We celebrate it. We celebrate the thug. We celebrate the gangster image. We praise that kind of stuff. And a lot of times people see that model as the archetype of what a black man is and what a black man should be. Like, and the sad thing is, it has gotten even worse than during our time, like during the time when the
It's got
music was first
considerably
promoted.
worse, big bro.
Yeah, because it's like, like back in the day, you had like NWA, and then you had, other music like around that genre, but you also had balance. And the thing is, back then, it wasn't even the norm, but today that's the norm. That's the mainstream hip hop, that kind of music that celebrates the violence, that celebrates the death, that celebrates the destruction, that celebrates people getting locked up as if that's some kind of rites of passage. And you also have, now they celebrate being addicted to drugs. Like there was a time when being a crackhead or being somebody that's addicted to drugs was something that people would ridicule people for. But today it's popular to be addicted to drugs and music. Like it's popular to be on strung out on like codeine and Percocet and all this kind of stuff. They got songs celebrating this stuff, like making it like cool to be a dope addict. You know what I'm saying?
Hey
Like to
man,
be.
hey man, but hold on, man. Listen, the bottom line is that, man, we celebrated that too, but they've just taken it to another level. Remember Dr. Dre the Chronic?
Yeah,
And
but
truth be
that's the
told,
thing.
Daddy and them generations celebrated it too. Name my bud the Chronic. I got to get messed up. Listen, man.
Yeah, yeah, they did sing about like smoking weed and stuff like that, but like I'm talking about like real hardcore like opioids and stuff like that. That was never something celebrated. Like I saw this one thing where this rap artist was actually talking about using heroin for the first time in one of his music videos. That's how low things have gotten. Like there's a distinction between like somebody singing about like smoking weed or getting drunk and stuff like that, because we know that that's what people used to sing about in all those songs back in the day. But nowadays they're singing about heavy, narcotics. You know what I'm saying? Like highly addictive substances that destroy people's lives and stuff, man. So yeah, and we could talk about that forever, though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe one time we got to talk about this stuff, man, because at this point, I was thinking about doing a TikTok about this. Remember when C. Dolores Tucker and Dr. Butts were talking about that rap music back in '94?
Yeah, everybody thought they were crazy.
Oh man, hey, they was right. They was right. Hey, listen, I love Pop. I love Pac, right? You sprinkle a little bit of consciousness and this and that, but the music everybody remember Pac for is this crazy thugging. They made thugging the desired, young man. So now it's like, back you was a prep back in the day, right? But y'all back, I think y'all used to call them jits, right? You had the prep jits, you had the this guy and that guy. Nowadays, everybody trying to come across like Lil Durk. I remember when nobody, you didn't get locks unless you was conscious. Now when I see it, so back in the day when I used to see a brother with dreadlocks, with locks, I'm thinking Rastaman, he about to talk about black nationalism. Now when I see a young guy with dreadlocks, I'm like, hey, what's this Negro up to, man? I might have to fire buddy up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, for real. But anyhow, man. So going forward, man.
Yeah, I hear you, man. So yeah, we could talk about that for a long time. But the next thing I want to get into is like this whole situation involving Will Smith, Jada Pinkett, and Chris Rock. We all know like what happened during the Oscars. Like the whole world was like shocked. Like that morning, I woke up and I was told, "Oh, Chris Rock slapped some." I looked on social media, and they were like, "Chris Rock slapped." So I was like, "What? This got to be a prank, man. This got to be fake news." And then I saw it. I saw it for myself, and I was like, "What in the world?" And so everybody was talking about that situation. And for people that have been living under a rock and don't know what's going on, like, basically what happened was during the Oscars, Chris Rock was doing like a basically like a stand-up routine. And he started making jokes about Jada Pinkett Smith, talking about she's going to star in G.I. Jane 2, which features a masculine white woman that had shaved her hair completely off. So he was basically making mockery of her hair being cut real low. And as many people know, she suffers from alopecia, a condition where people lose their hair. So when she heard that joke, she was displeased. At first, Will Smith was laughing along with the joke, and then he saw the expression on Jada Pinkett Smith's face, um, why he made the joke, and then he proceeded to walk up onto the stage and slap Chris Rock, and then walk back to his seat. And then right after Chris Rock was slapped, he just said Will Smith slapped the crap out of me or whatever. And then Jada Pinkett was actually laughing when he said that. Like she thought it was amusing. Like right after her husband slaps Chris Rock, she thought that was amusing. And so as a result of that, Will Smith has been banned from the Oscars for 10 years. And it tarnished his legacy because at the Oscars, Will Smith actually won an Oscar. He won an Oscar for Best Actor. That should have been the highlight of his career. But at that particular moment, his whole legacy has been tarnished now. Like he had this clean cut, nice guy image, but that's been destroyed because of that. And Netflix has taken his films off of their streaming service, and so this has had a devastating impact on him. He's basically like been reduced, at least for now, to some kind of pariah and stuff like that. So after this whole incident, you had like an intense debate online, where black women and black men were going back and forth about this. Some saying, a lot of people were saying, some black men were saying Will Smith is a simp for basically doing this for one, running up there and putting everything on the line for a woman that cheated on him and this and that. And you have some people saying, well, he did what a man should do, and that's to defend his woman and all that kind of stuff. But then, like right after this whole thing happened, Jada Pinkett Smith said something about this is a season for healing and I'm here all for it. I'm all for it and stuff like that. And then she also made some remarks where she distanced herself from Will Smith in his actions, where she expressed some kind of disapproval. And then recently, and this is the reason why we're talking about this now, is she has been advertising for an upcoming show that she's going to have on her program, The Red Table, where she's going to be talking about alopecia, and she's also going to be talking about this whole incident at the Oscars. And she said this about that. She said, I hope that these two intelligent and capable men can heal, talk this out, and reconcile. And she went on to talk about how her and Will Smith are still figuring out their lives together. And like shortly after this, I saw some rumors about, like, them possibly getting a divorce and all this and that. So yeah, man, this is like a big a whole bunch of mess. There's a lot of stuff going on here. So I want to hear from you, man. Like, first of all, what was your initial reaction to that whole situation, that whole incident at the Oscars?
Man. All right. Well, hey, listen, everybody. I'm a minister and all of that stuff, and intellectual brother and all that kind of stuff. But I'm from Detroit, Michigan, Mack Avenue, and Highland Park, Michigan. You know what I'm saying? And with that said, is that I think it was whole shit, man. I mean, excuse my language, man, but I think it was weak. And let me explain why I think it's weak. If I'm really in the mode where I'm like defending my wife's honor, my lady's honor, I'm all with, you're gonna respect my lady, you're gonna respect my mother, my sister, my nieces, and my cousins, because I'm gonna respect yours. But if you cross that line, Negro or white man, I'm pushing you back across it. You're gonna respect mine, right? But it's weak because if I'm really wanting to get at buddy, right? I really want to get at guy. You done disrespecting my lady, made her ridicule. I'm gonna get you. I'm not gonna slap you like a little girl like that in a setting where I can't really let you know. I'd have waited to the after party and cornered up Chris Rock and choked him out right quick till he was foaming. If I was that angry, where I was just gonna throw everything to the wind. But now as far as it relates to Will Smith, I think he was what they call in Scientology, like I think he was on a reactionary mind state. I think he was reactive. I don't think he was proactive. I don't think he was responding. He could have easily have sat there, been smoking that thing the whole night, right? And then he, once he won or whatever, stood up there and gave Chris Rock a serious lambasting. There are different ways to handle and do the same thing. But these childish outbursts, it's ridiculous. But then the flip of it is that I think that in our community and in the world at large, because of the way we see black manhood, we forget that any grown man, when put in the wrong situation, is going to come out the corner swinging. And I think that for the longest, everybody has been playing Will Smith like he's a punk. They've been playing Will Smith like he was a punk since parents just don't understand. I think that was like 87, 88. Yeah, it was 88, like 88, 89, somewhere in there. And it's only so much of that a real man gonna take before he snaps. And it's like I've seen some other videos with him and Jada having conversations, and what I see there is it seems like a woman who felt like or feels like she's doing him a favor by being with him. And
Yeah, that's the point right there.
two things that I say that every man should never want to be in a relationship. Number one thing, financially dependent on a woman or in a situation where you can't make it, you ain't got nowhere to live if it's not for, don't ever be in that situation. The second thing is don't ever get into a romantic situation where the woman feels like she's doing you a favor, because you're always going to be just a yard line away from the friend zone or the weakling zone, and nobody wants to be there. And it's like this is the vibe that I get off of her. And it's like, listen, it's one thing, marriages go through ups and downs, relationships, go through trials and tribulations. It's one thing for her to cheat on her man and talk to him in private and this and that, and they work that out. And it's another thing to be a viral on the internet talking about your entanglement with a child. You know what I'm saying? It's only so long that a man is going to deal with that kind of stuff before he snaps. And that's what we witnessed Will Smith doing. That was my initial reaction. Now, for her to keep egging it on, it's like, come on, what has Jada Pinkett been in since The Matrix? What would she really be right now, career-wise, without being Will Smith's wife? I don't think she would be very far, personally. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, man, why you egging this on? You trying to stay back in the limelight? You know, I mean, it's like, man, come on, get his brother some respect.
Yeah, man, I hear everything you're saying, man, and like my initial reaction, and there's a lot of things to this. Like, I think there's layers to this. Like, so my initial reaction, it was like, I feel him. Like, I understand like why he felt the need to do what he did. Like in retrospect, I have different feelings about it. But like, have you ever been in a situation where you thought like after the fact, oh, I should have stood up, I should have did this and that, and you regret not saying something or doing something, and it's like, especially when it involves like a loved one being disrespected or being violated, like you feel like you think like, oh man, I should have seized that moment and stood up and stood strong or whatever. And it's like part of me identify with him seizing that moment and checking somebody in real time for what they did to disrespect their wife. Like, because this man was like clowning his wife before like the whole world. Like, it wasn't just that audience that he was clowning her in front of. It was like the whole world.
But no,
So
man.
part of me felt what he was doing. Like, part of me initially felt what he was doing. But then, like, upon reflection, I just thought about how, like, Jada Pinkett could have handled the situation better. Like, it was, I mean, he reacted based on what he saw her do. Like, he saw her expression, he saw her pain, and that's what caused him to react. And I think like a good wife would have like stopped, like tried to stop him, at least tried to say, hold up, like hold him back or something, or say, no, Will, don't go up there, whatever. Do something to stop him. But instead, this woman basically egged it on and laughed about it after the fact. And then after she saw the reaction of people, in many ways, you could say she threw him under the bus. And so when I see that, like, I feel what these people are saying about, like, why would you put your everything on a line for a woman that doesn't even really respect you as a man like that? I mean, this woman has, not only had this public affair with this uh, August guy, who was a young guy who was like one of her children's friends. I mean, if that was a man doing that, they would have been ostracized in so many ways. But and then on top of that, she's made all these disrespectful things about their sex life and all this and that, like publicly and stuff. So she doesn't have much respect for him. And then going back to your point about like people feel like they're doing you a favor by being in a relationship with you. I think that that's the situation that we have here, because this woman, like, according to all these things I've seen, she never really wanted to marry Will Smith. Like, he basically, like, according to these reports, he kind of pressured her to marry and all that kind of stuff. And she really wasn't about that life. She really wasn't looking to be married and all that kind of stuff. And he put her in this situation. So he's already operating at a deficit where he feels he has to placate and appease somebody and stuff like that. And you should never find yourself in that situation, as you pointed out. You should never be in a situation where you're with somebody who feels like they're doing you a favor, or they feel like they are above you. And I don't know why she would think that in this world, because he's a super mega star, and she's just like a B-list, C-list actress or whatever. But you have those situations where some people like feel like they're doing the other person a favor by being with them. They feel like they are really better than that person and they don't need to, that they could do better or whatever. Um, and like another thing that makes like that whole disrespect piece like an important part of this conversation, it's like this obsession that she has over Tupac and stuff like that, to the degree that her own daughter was saying like, I wish Tupac was alive and something like that because he would make you happy and stuff like that. It's really sick, man. It's just a messed up situation.
Damn,
So
man.
you've got all this stuff going on. So this man like is at the pinnacle of success. Like he gets his Oscar and he's like willing to throw it all out the window just for this woman to say some remarks afterwards, basically saying that she didn't condone what he did. And she's on this, we're all about healing and all that kind of stuff. Where was she during this incident, though? Where was the healing during this incident? Where was the healing when she was like egging him on and laughing about it afterwards? Like, so yeah, there's a lot of issues. And then it's like this whole self-righteous type of posture. I was watching this thing where this article. I saw this article and it was talking about Vivica Fox's reaction to this, and she talked about like this whole self-righteous healing talk and stuff like that, and just about like how are you talking about healing when you were the one egging this stuff on, like when you were the one that made this expression, got this guy worked up, and then like you throwing him under the bus, basically saying that what he did was wrong, and then saying now's the time for healing. So yeah, man, it's a lot. It's a lot going on, man. It's just like,
Man, all I can say is, man, listen, man, bless that man's heart, man, and keep him strong, man. Because what I see, like I posted a video on TikTok to Stitch, and I'm like, hey, she better chill out. Because what I see is a man that's on just like, hey, I don't care. She just the way she talks down to him, man, and it's just like, hey, man, if you want Tupac, go get him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, man, and that's the thing. Like that video, I wanted to talk about that video you mentioned because, like, in that video, like, he's in his house with her, and they're just having a private conversation, and then she tries to like put it all on social media, and he's trying to maintain his privacy. She's like exploiting their conversation for public consumption. And he's telling her that he doesn't want that to happen. And she's disrespecting him and stuff like that. And it's just messed up, man. It's just like, and it's like, why? And I think that he's in a situation of like somebody that's been abused. You know what I'm saying? Where they feel like they have to appease their abuser, where his concern is like, oh, she's upset, so I got to do something, and then he does something, and then he's like ridiculed for it, and like there's no pleasing somebody that's narcissistic or abusive, and I think that that's what you have in this situation, man. But it's just real frustrating to see, man. This guy like be in a situation where he's in a lot of ways has like put everything in jeopardy for the sake of appeasing her and making sure that she's okay. And then she just turns around and like poo-poos that and says it's time for healing and all that kind of stuff. And I'll tell you this, man, if I was Chris Rock, it wouldn't be no time for no healing. Like this guy slapped you in the face in front of millions of people. Like the whole world has seen this, and you've been humiliated before the world. There is no healing, you know.
but see, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying this all week, man. It's like, listen, man, it's weak on two ends. First off, this man slapped you like a little girl, and you didn't even do the natural response to like push him off. But you didn't do nothing. You just wow. Man, come on, man. Then on the other end, listen, man. If I want to get you, I want to do something in a way where if I'm getting at you, there's nobody to hold me back. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I don't
So
know if you saw that video. I don't know if you saw the video. Like I saw this video where they were showing some television show or some movie that took place like way before this happened, where it was the same type of scenario where a comedian was insulting a man's wife, and then the man, the husband walked on the stage and slapped the guy and walked back. And it looked basically exactly like what happened with Will Smith, and that's caused some people to speculate
man,
that this
man,
may
come
be
on,
a hoax.
come on, man. Next thing you know, the
Yeah, man.
Mason.
I'm
Listen,
wondering
man,
what you think about
I want to look, look, man, look, man.
that.
What's up?
Can I talk? Can I add my 2 cents?
Go ahead.
Just say yes or no. If you don't want to hear it, say I don't want to
Go ahead.
Y'all talking on a thousandaire level, or maybe these men have reached money that they have held a certain amount of money.
Hey, can you hear her answer?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Okay.
Well, y'all male chauvinistic. But I'm saying, yeah, they play a different money game. See, Chris Rock is in favor for all the white men that he danced for. The same white man that Will Smith got tired of dancing for. That slap wasn't just about one solitary situation. That slap was about him getting dogged over the years for being a coon. He been cooning for years. Will Smith have been cooning for years when he made that gay movie. When he do all this shit and when he don't speak out for certain shit, he don't stand for black rights. So he was just trying to give himself a little backbone that he never had. Y'all looking at a small thing. Like y'all, their money is different. So when your money bigger, you got to play a different game. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna leave the man conversation because y'all whole energy changed. I'm gonna go talk to my girls. Come on, let's go, Big Daddy. Just didn't hear the money aspect of it. Come on.
Yeah, but for me, like, it's no amount of money that would allow me to just sit and let somebody slap the mess out of me. Like, I mean, I just don't see it. Like, I don't know how somebody could do that. Like,
so can you hear her? She's saying now, answer, can you hear me? She's saying now that's because you have integrity.
They don't.
And Chris Rock and those guys don't.
I know for a fact, looking at you two brothers, y'all will never get paid no amount of money to play a gay role. Am I wrong or right?
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah, right about that.
Yeah, he said you're right about that.
His whole introduction to acting was a gay role, so his integrity was compromised on initiation.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That's first movie, he was gay as hell and doing all that gay shit. Y'all man, my man would never do that. And I'm sure his brother wouldn't either. Because y'all a soccer man. And I don't see that in y'all bloodline at all. You feel me?
Absolute facts.
So you have to put that in as a factor. Come on. But thank you for letting me in your conversation. I'll be watching all y'all stuff. Bye.
There we have it.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's right though. I mean, listen, all I'm saying is that to me, you know, I feel that and all of this kind of stuff. And I know what it's like to be seen as a weak dude. Because being an intellectual black man that goes to church, and so on and so forth, people always thinking I'm soft. Right? I understand what a male scream looks like. Like, I ain't no hoe. They'll quit treating me like one. Right? I understand that. But all I'm saying is that right there didn't look like that. That right there looked like, hey, I know I'm in a safe space. I'm gonna nut up real quick and nothing's gonna happen to me. And that just seems weak to me, man. And for her to turn around and be for her to turn around and fix her mouth to say anything about this man like that just absolutely diminishes her in my viewing. Like stand with him the way he stood with you. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like he put everything on the line. At least you could do is if you don't feel what he did, like at least just shut up, man. Don't
shut
say
up.
Nothing.
Just be quiet. Let the
wind
wind blow over, little mama. You sitting up here going, you just everybody beating on this man, throwing rocks at him, and then you teamed up with them also to throw rocks on him also. It's like, get out of here.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
it's
man,
like,
exactly,
It's like Toy has a point though. Toy has a point though. When you on that level, maybe you look at stuff a whole hell of a lot different. I'm not there yet. I don't see stuff. And I'll tell you like this, man. I'm gonna tell you like this. Look, man, I know as a black man, if I ball up this fist right here to use it in a public setting, I'm going to jail, right? I'm going to jail. I'm not going to jail and sitting in that holding tank. And they say, well, what you in here for, big man? Man, I had to slap this guy and walk up. No, I'm going to have a hell of a story to tell. You know what I'm saying? So that they're not taking my little Debbie's. I'm taking the little Debbie. No, I'm being facetious. But anyway, man, what's your next thing you want to holler on, big bro?
Yeah, man. So we can hop over to TikTok and talk about Kevin Samuels and his legacy.
Man, you want to talk about Kevin Samuels, man?
Talk about like what you think about him, and you know.
Oh yeah, because I got some hell of opinions about that man right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about that over on TikTok. So you all can go to TikTok, and this time we really will have a discussion. Last time we had to cut things short and everything, but you know, we will be over at TikTok talking real quick about Kevin Samuels and his legacy. As you all know, he passed away. And you know, even though he's passed away, it seems like his content is even more popular than ever. You know, like people were celebrating his death, but his stuff is everywhere. So we're going to share our little 2 cents about that and his legacy and, you know, our thoughts about him. So, yeah, check us out on TikTok. My channel is New Possibility Blog on TikTok, and my brother is Brother Minister Speak, but it's going to be over on my channel. So come through and, you know, onto TikTok. And we ain't going to keep you too long, but join the discussion. All right, y'all, peace and blessings. Please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video. Subscribe to my brother's channel too. Peace and blessings. See you over on TikTok.